tell about how many of all the different countries, the different soldiers that was at the camp?
Well, there's about around 15,000 American troops in there, about 25,000 British troops in there. I never did hear a figure on the French troops, but there was still some in there. It's about 30 or 35,000 Russian troops.
They treat everybody about the same?
Oh, they treated the Russians worse than they did the rest of them.
Were there any Jews in the camp? There probably wasn't any Jews, was there, unless they were some soldiers?
They probably was, but you never knew the word Jew or what.
What was your daily routine at the camp?
Just walk around. No routine to it.
Did they make you get up at a certain time?
Yeah, we got up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and all had to line up outside each building where we staying. Each building lined up outside, and they counted at 7 o'clock.
Was there ever any people you knew of trying to get out of there, escape and stuff? Did they ever get any?
Well, there had been some escape from that camp, but from the time I was in there, if there's anyone tried it, I don't know about it, because it was getting so close to the end of the war, so everybody just figured they'd just stay where it's at till it was over.
What and how often were you fed?
Once a day. Cup full of soup. One slice of bread. Once a day.
And
24 hours.
the soup was a lot of times just rotten food in it, right? Were you roughed up or pushed around in the camp?
No, not in the camp, because every time I see a German coming in where I was at, I'd make my business to go somewhere else where I stayed out of their way.
How big was the camp?
That side of football field.
And they had all those people?
Yeah.
What kind of clothes did they give you to wear, and what was your sleeping quarters like? That's joking.
Well, he didn't send clothes. We wore what we had on. That's what we had on. Our uniform. And the beds, you couldn't call them beds. They was just racks, 4 deep. Like one about that high off the floor, and the next one about like that. On up. Just some strips of wood across it. 2 blankets. And that was all. There wasn't no mattress on it. Just laid on the board. And they wasn't very close together.
What time of year was this? What time of year?
First day of January.
Oh, yeah.
It was cold.
Was there snow on the ground, all that deep snow on the ground then?
About 8 to 14 inches of snow.
Oh, you said before you and your buddy put both your blankets together and slept together on a rack to keep warm, right?
Spread 2 of them over the board. His bunk had 4 boards, mine had 4. You know they ain't gonna be very close together. You just had one for your feet lay across, and one for your hips, and one across your back, and one across where your head lay on. Took boards of his, put in there with mine, and then we put 2 of the blankets over them, and we covered the 2.
How much weight did you lose?
Lost around 70 or 80 pounds. Weighed around 179 when I was captured. That's the heaviest I've ever weighed.
I asked you this a while ago, didn't I? Were you ever threatened with your life? But I don't know if I had this on then.
The day I was captured, they did. But I wouldn't tell them what outfit I was in and everything. I wouldn't ever tell them. I'd just give them the name, rank, and so on. They threatened me then to try to make me tell, and I wouldn't tell them what outfit.
Well, didn't you say before, whenever they, every morning you'd see wagons, they'd be hauling a load full of prisoners out that had died during the night?
2 to 3 wagons every morning. They'd just stacked across, just throw it in there lengthways across the wagons. It's like wood stacked on.
Yeah. Did they throw them all in one big hole? Were you allowed any contact with anyone outside of the camp? Could you write letters home, or did you get letters, and what did they?
I was allowed to write 1 letter a month. Never had contact with anybody else outside the camp, or couldn't receive any mail.
My road, they all come back and
First letter your mama got, I done got back home about 2 years after I had wrote it. She finally got the first one.
Huh, so did any of the rest of them ever, how long were you in the prison camp?
On the first day of January till the war was over.
Wasn't it in May?
Yeah, around May, about around 5 months, I guess.
you come home in June.
Well, I got out of there around the first part of May.
Did you know how the war was going, and how did word filter into the camp about how it was going?
They had a wireless radio. Some of the boys had a wireless radio in. They contact Army forces.
Wonder how they got that in there.
They made it.
Oh.
Out of different little radio parts and things.
Was there any doctors in the camp that ever looked at the prisoners?
Yeah, but that was about all they did was look at you. They didn't have nothing to do anything with it. And then you'd have to be just about dead to ever see one of them.
Did you have any friends that died in the camp that you made?
No.
While they were there?
Not while I was there.
What date were you released, and what brought about the release?
Belgium, the Russians took the camp over where I was at. I don't know what day it was on.
It was before the end of the war then?
About a week before. I was in with the Russians then took us and moved us to another camp and shut us up in there and wouldn't let us out.
Why wouldn't they let you out?
They claimed they had them there, kept them there so they wouldn't get out and be in the way of them moving their troops and things around. There was so many of us to get out there and clog the roads.
Oh yeah.
They claimed that was what it was, but me and another boy found a hole in the fence and took off. Found us a bicycle. Started our troops on a bicycle.
I thought I remember when I was a kid hearing you tell that, and then as I got older I thought I must have just made some of that up.
There was a major that I talked with the day before. They was lost and got in there with about 7 or 8 trucks, empty trucks, and they tried to get the Russians to let them load as many as they could get on them trucks and take them to our lines, and they wouldn't let them take us. So then the next day, me and this boy found that hole in the fence, and we slipped through it, took off, and then we run into that same major that day, and he picked in the Jeep, and they picked us up, By the time we got to our lines, we had 16 of us on that jeep.
Well, that was really kind of dangerous escaping from that, though.
Yeah.
What, the Germans could have picked you back up and...
Any of them, or the Russians could have mistook us for Germans like that.
Oh, that's chewing up all the information we had on the floor and keep it from reading. Our wedding picture, the bottom of it on there, he chewed that up and swallowed it, keep it from Bob writing me and telling me something.
Well, it had our address on it then.
Well,
I got rid of it.
well, I that probably didn't pick it up. When was it you done that?
The day I was captured.
He chewed it up right quick.
So you chewed up the picture that had...
Our address on it. It was a clipping out of the paper when we got married to give our address and everything. And I didn't want them to get a hold of it, so I just chewed it up and swallowed it.
What kind of awards did you receive from the Army for being captured and being a prisoner of war?
Got a little medal of that.
Well, you got the Purple Heart for being wounded
That
during the
wasn't-
war, right?
Yeah. Purple Heart, and I've got nine other medals, different theaters, different.
After you were released, how long did you remain in the Army? Well, how long did they keep after you got away from the prison camp and stuff? How did you go about getting back to the United States?
They just took us all down to a staging area there, and they was still at the boat ready to come back to the States, and they put us in the boats and back. We was there about a month. And then too, they was trying to put a little weight on us before they brought us back to the States too. A bunch of other prisoners they collected and put down in that one place.
And you came into Florida, right? Did you get off the boat in Florida?
No, I believe we come into New York City. I'm not sure. I don't think that.
Well, I thought you was in Florida when Eisenhower...
Yeah, I
Pin-
was, but I'd done been home on leave.
Oh.
So I came home on leave. I was here 30 days, and I had to report back to Miami Beach, Florida, to process our records and things and ship us out from there to different places.
Well, how come, when... Tell about when Eisenhower pinned the Purple Heart on you. Was there several other boys he was doing that to then?
Yeah, a bunch of us there, and they had us all had a formation and just pinned the Purple Heart on all of us.
Okay. We'll go back to the first here and tell about being back behind enemy lines and being surrounded and them gunning you down again.
Well, it was a voluntary trip. It was a reconnaissance mission, and the lieutenant said that he had to go, but he couldn't order any of us to go with him, but he wanted volunteers to go with him, so I volunteered to go with him. And the time we got going, we had 19 of us all together. We got over behind the enemy lines about 3 miles, and then he opened up on us, pinned us down. Took 7 prisoners out of 19, the rest of them was killed right there. I got pinned down in the middle of the highway and got hit in the head and my shoulder and my right arm. And, 14 bullet holes come through one side of my jacket, clean across my back out the other side. Never touched me, it just went through my clothes.
And then what camp were you taken to?
Stalag 4B, which is in between Leipzig and Dresden, Germany.
And this was in, what?
So January 1st, 41.
And this was in Belgium, and what was that
Belgian
forest?
Bulge. I don't know what the forest it was. I know it when I hear it mentioned, but I can't remember. People want to say Argonne Forest, but that wasn't what it is.
And tell again how many different countries. There's the French and the British and
About 15,000 American troops, about 25,000 British troops. French, I guess, it seemed to me like they said around 18 or 19,000 French troops in must have been around 35,000 Russian troops in.
it was about the size of a football field.
Maybe twice that size. It's about twice that size. A big football field, I mean, that covers all of it, not just out there where they play.
Start now. Purple Heart's
Purple
first.
Heart's first, and then that Good Conduct Medal second one. And, American Theater ribbon. And German European Theater. That one there.
If you get over on this side and point at it.
That's American Campaign instead of Theater, and this is American Theater. That's World War II Victory Medal, Korean Medal, and, Prisoner of War Medal, Combat Infantry Rifleman badge. That's German dog tags I had on when I was in the prison camp, Stalag 4B. And that's my old Army dog tag.
I'll tell about the one in the middle, the one you just got you got it 45 years later for being a prisoner of war.
Well, they never sent it to me till it's about 45 years late getting to me.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Well, that's different battles was in. There's bronze stars for one for each battle.
Yeah. So how many battles were you in altogether?
I was in 3 in Germany. See, there's 3 on. That's the same thing there. That star there is being Panama Canal Zone during the war. We was guarding it. And
That bullet looks like one got bomb.
that was in Korea. It's only in one in Korea, and it's around Heartbreak Ridge.
German prison camp is something they will never forget.
We was old Army buddies and wind up in the same outfit. Got over and got shot at together and got captured together. And
we had to look after one another. We had to make do with no food.
if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be here. And I say if he wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. We had to help each other.
Inman says those rough times in prison camp helped he and Gainey develop a stronger bond. But after the war, they lost communication.
I didn't think I'd ever see him again because we just completely lost contact.
That changed when Chester Gainey's sister-in-law decided to find Merle Inman on the internet.
Her and her son-in-law was fooling with the computer and told them to see if they could find Merle Inman in Tulsa, and they found him. She called him, talked to him a few minutes. That got started from there.
Gainey and Inman reunited on Christmas Eve, their first time together in 57 years.
I just was so shocked I couldn't believe it. He was looking so good. I mean, after all these years.
Well, I knew he was before he ever even answered her.
it's a gift that I'm able to come down here and be with Chester after all these years.
Many years have passed since Inman and Gainey started this relationship. Both are now battling cancer, a reason this reunion is so important.
It was wonderful. Wonderful. The best thing that's ever happened to me in recent years.
A Christmas present that even the Grinch could not steal away. In Livingston County, Kentucky.
In Belgium, yeah. But
About 3 days before we got captured.
now I remember loading up and going over to France, and I don't remember what we did when we were in France. We were just getting ready to go to the front, and they changed it all on us. And what did we do then? They loaded us on trains and cars. I can't remember what our transportation was.
We left here.
No, when we left France to go to Belgium.
Oh, we was truck convoy.
Truck convoy up there, and we were up there not too long before we got sent out on that patrol because
I was out all night the night before.
what was you doing out all night the night before?
On
Patrol?
Louisiana and Art.
Yeah, intelligence and reconnaissance patrol. Yeah.
I think that's what we was doing. I think they sent us
We
out
were
to see if
hit-
we draw some fire with them jeeps.
We did. Anyway, that's something I didn't remember. We didn't really get into any combat in France, and they moved us up to Belgium, and that's the breakthrough was there. And I remember that we
stuck
moved.
us in there to head it off. That's
Yeah.
what they done. And when they sent us out, that was all volunteer stuff.
That's
The
right.
lieutenant had to go,
Yeah.
but he wanted somebody to go with him. And
How many? There were 12 of us, or
19.
19 of us.
Finally
Yeah.
left. I sat there because I hadn't been in very long. I'd been out all night. And finally, nobody else said anything about going. I said, "Lieutenant, I'll go with you." The time we all left, there was 19 of us counting the lieutenant. And he jumped in the foxhole right there close to where I was at. I got pinned down out in the middle of the concrete highway.
Yeah.
He jumped, and I seen him, he went in that foxhole. He wasn't about far from here to that car you got out there.
Yeah.
I hollered for him, and after they rounded us up and got us up there in that old farm building,
Yeah.
he said, "I heard you every time you called me," so I opened my mouth with He was
There was
scared,
nothing
he couldn't say nothing.
Do you remember that, Merle? Do you remember
I do
when you all
remember
were
that pretty
captured
well.
the day?
I remember what I was mad about. We had a guy by the name of Corporal Cash that was supposed to be our map rigger or something, and he got us lost. And so we got there at daylight instead of we were supposed to be there before it got light. And we're supposed to be
At
kind of
least never did get where we were supposed to
no,
win.
never did. And
We was almost there. I was leading up through there, and all at once, see, I was right out in the middle of the highway.
yeah,
And the highway went up and it turned in between two houses.
how did we get over in that grain field where I was? All I remember was that I was a rifle grenadier, and I lobbed a grenade up there. It didn't do any good.
I never. I
But
pulled a pin, gonna throw a grenade.
yeah,
It's a wonder I'm here.
yeah,
Because about the time I got the pin, when I got the pin full, I kind of raised up to throw it.
and that guy had a machine gun up there.
He hit
Hit
right about
your
there,
helmet.
and come out dead center of the sweatband on the other side. But I didn't have that coat patch fastened, and the helmet bounced up a little
Yeah.
bit, and it dropped the bullet up enough that it just left a streak about the size of my finger. It laid the finger down across it. Knocked me out like the light went out.
Oh boy, I tell you,
And
that
the
was
first thing when I come to, I said, "Where's that grenade at?" And I was laying on it right here, pin out of it.
oh no.
And then you had all those bullet holes in the back of your shirt. You
Well,
almost
yeah.
got there.
Yeah, I raised up when I fired. I had a rifle grenade. You set that down like you do a mortar and fire.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that, the guy shot me through the arm.
Mm.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, I wonder if you got a stiff arm out there.
No, I
Mostly
came out of that
right
finally. I've been
Right,
still working at it, but
right around your elbow.
elbow. Yeah, went in my elbow. came out up here.
I still got a bullet and 2 or 3 pieces of shrapnel.
Still in there. Yeah, mine went on through and lodged in my chest.
I didn't know I had that shrapnel in there. The last x-ray they made of it said moved. It used to be right up here, and every time I'd bump it,
You'd move
in a
that.
place about that big around, it would be brown and black.
Yeah.
And I'd have them to x-ray it every now and
I
then
still
to
got
see
a
where
dot
it was
over
at.
here.
Because everybody told me that thing would go up.
Yeah.
But I got news for it. It went down. It's right down in here around my elbow now.
Wow.
And they found them 2 pieces of shrapnel up
Pieces
above
I hang on cooking.
that last x-ray I had made.
Well, they kind
Well,
of.
did they have to operate on you to get that?
No,
that out of your
the
chest?
projectile went all through, and I just took it out of my chest. It was
Oh.
just in between the rib cage.
Oh, it came out. It
Yeah,
was
I
on
took
your
it out.
chest then.
I couldn't get to that one in my arm. And I got one in my left shoulder.
Yeah.
And it must be still in there because I find where it went in, but I can't never find where it came out. So it's in there somewhere.
Just a tough old bugger, that's all I have to say.
Well, both of you are.
Well, he remembers so much more than I do, but I remember going back from the front line. We went through a couple of aid stations getting back to Leipzig.
That one old building, they kept us in for about 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Had them people in there, flamethrowers been through them, and I was right between 2 of them.
Oh,
And the flesh was
Just-
rotting and
just-
falling off the bone, and they sat right there between them. I couldn't move my elbows after bumping one of them. That's the stinkiest. That's the stinkiest smell you can smell. The first.
you know, you and I are just, God sure looked after us good, because
Yeah.
we really came awful close all the way.
Yeah, it wasn't your all's turn to go back then.
No, we weren't supposed to, the Germans weren't supposed to be taking any prisoners then.
And that the ones that got us was one of the roughest ones.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
Why weren't they supposed to be taking any prisoners?
They
Because
quit taking them because
they
they didn't
didn't-
have no place to put them.
Oh,
well,
okay.
the place to put it, didn't want to feed them. You had to
Didn't
feed
have-
the prisoners. You
Didn't
had
have
to make,
anything to feed them. And we didn't get much to eat as it was. Got a little teacup full of soup, that is broth.
Yeah.
Did he ever show you that article I sent him on the paper?
Yeah, I took it home and made a copy of it.
Well, I brought it back with me again, and the most amazing thing was that guy has a 56-year-old.
I know, isn't
rye
that
bread,
something?
there's not a worm in it or anything. It's not.
It's so hard to
and we
eat.
had to eat that damn stuff.
It was so hard they couldn't get to it.
Oh no!
See, we got that little teacup full of
Ersatz
they
soup.
said soup, but
Yeah.
it's more or less a broth.
Yeah.
One day I was eating, well, we got that and a horse potato bowl with a jacket on about the size of a hen egg, and 1 slice of bread.
That was it.
And one day I was eating that, and looked like a maggot in there. I got looking around, there's about 5 or 6 of them.
You know that piece of horse meat or something I got. Maybe it was crawl. Maybe that was a worm and didn't know.
So, do you remember
Let's see.
eating the soup with
I
worms in it?
Oh, the soup was horrible. It was potato peeling soup, or it was leftovers of what they had. And once in a while you'd get a little piece of meat or something like that, but there was no body to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Daddy had said once they put cow feed in it.
I
And
wouldn't be
It's,
surprised. Yeah.
Fetch, what
Yeah.
you make hay out of.
Well,
Somehow
yeah.
it was it.
And
that
that's
was
where-
that kind of grain or something they put in.
yeah, that's what the worms was in.
Yeah.
Was in the cow feed.
Yeah. I just
I didn't eat that day.
you ate it the next day.
The next day I found me in a dark corner and I ate everything that was in there.
The food was minimal, and this is probably the best weight loss program anybody ever
Yeah.
You know, because I weighed around 170 something.
did. Yeah. Well, I weighed 165.
And whenever we got captured and then when we got to our troops, I only weighed 85.
I weighed about 100.
And you know, we took an awful chance what we done.
Oh yeah, we
We
didn't
went
get
through that.
shot.
We went through that
hole in that fence and went down there and took us a bicycle.
Yeah.
Because we passed and met a lot of
Russian. Well, we met Germans.
Russians and Germans
Yeah.
too.
But you remember that the Germans wanted us to be, the German families wanted us to be with them because they kept
All
the
them
Russians.
girls wanted to
I
stay
don't
with
want
them
to talk
because
about
they want us to stay with them
I
because
couldn't.
the Russian wouldn't bother them.
I'll tell you that's right. But the trouble is, I didn't give a hoot about any of them girls at all.
I didn't either. I never knew what they had something in it to
Yeah.
stab you with
Yeah.
or shoot you or something.
I just don't remember a whole lot about getting back to Camp Lucky Strike or where it was we wound up.
Camp Lucky Strike.
Yeah.
And after we got back there, I run into a guy that I took basic training with.
Is that right?
I was sitting way back up in the tent movie that evening. And I looked down there and I recognized the back of his head. He's bald headed on the back of his head. He was sitting way down in front of me. They still had the lights on, the movie hadn't started. I said, Homer Temple. Well, he liked to pull them benches down and come back. We'd been separated for a pretty good while. We went through basic training, went through Panama Canal Zone, 3.5 years, and we're still together. Maybe 1 month he'd be motor sergeant, and the next month I'd be motor sergeant.
Well, I just
Merle,
remember-
do you remember when you met Daddy? Where you met him at?
It was, I think it was at Camp Breckenridge, Kentucky, yeah. I came from a mobile anti-aircraft outfit in El Paso, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of going, I was training for the South Pacific, and instead of going there, they transferred us all over to Camp Breckenridge.
Yeah, well, it's loaded us on a train, supposed to go up in Arizona somewhere. We stayed on that train there in El Paso all day.
Yeah.
And long just before dark, they changed the order zone, we come to Camp Breckenridge.
And Camp Breckenridge, from there,
That got me in trouble.
it did. You were so close to home there.
It got me in trouble.
I was telling him yesterday.
I married my wife there,
I was telling him yesterday.
see. She
I said,
started all these kids around.
I said, when you was on that train, they would send you to Camp Breckenridge. If you had known you was gonna meet a girl and you'd end up having 8 kids and have to work all your life supporting them, you might have went the other way.
Where did you meet her? Was that in a church or in a USO or?
My wife?
Yeah.
No, it was kind of funny.
Well,
Yeah.
Merle, he was engaged to another girl in in Mississippi when he met Mama.
Oh.
Yeah. Me and the other guy was out there at Evansville drinking that afternoon, and he was with the girl. She wanted me to go out they wanted me to go out with them out at her house.
Yeah.
So there's a good-looking girl out there. I don't know if she'll go with you or not. We got out there. She came in, it was raining real hard. She was soaking. Had her hair cleaned down.
Oh
Put
my
down
God.
here, and it was wet and strained. She said she wanted her to go with. She didn't say one right then, but I told her, she said, I'll go if I can go with him.
See, Merle, this is what happened. Mama came in out of the rain, and Mama was engaged to. She'd already told another guy she'd marry him. He'd already been shipped overseas. Well, Mama comes in the front door and she sees this good-looking guy, Daddy, talking to her girlfriend's boyfriend, and so Mama said Daddy was talking to this other guy, talking about his the girl he's engaged to in Mississippi. And Mama said she thought to herself, well, you're not going to marry her if I can help it. So 3 weeks later, they got married. Because Daddy, they had a whirlwind courtship, and Daddy says, well, why don't we wait till I get back? And Mama thought she wasn't going to let him get away. She says, no, I want to do it before you get sent overseas.
That's what you call not taking any chances.
Yeah.
You you didn't object too much to that, did you?
No,
I
was pretty easily.
Yeah, you were ready.
He was easy to be led astray, I guess.
guided in.
Oh my gosh, that's
So-
wonderful. I can't believe it was that quick.
Well, everybody told us it wouldn't last.
Well, it hasn't. I mean, it's just been, what, about 60 years here?
57.
57.
Be 58 next
Oh, that's right. It's just about as long as you got.
They
Just
said
going on.
that won't last. He might, company commander, he tried to talk me out of it. And then he restricted me to company area.
See,
And
how
knew I
come,
was gonna go get married that afternoon. So he restricted me to the company area. I took off anyway.
how come me in Evansville, I worked in the defense plant. I helped build them little E-47.
Yeah, Mama was a Rosie the Riveter.
Oh, be doggone.
So that's how come me.
She was
Yeah.
building them 147 planes.
Oh my gosh. You know, that's really wonderful to recall all that. It's kind of helped, you know.
Beat it all, I didn't have any money. She had to foot the bill.
Well, that didn't make any difference.
Yeah, he told me, he said, I don't have any money. I said, that won't make no difference.
Yeah,
I got
Mama,
little.
She thought I
Mama-
was trying to get out of it.
Mama wasn't gonna let him get away.
I haven't got any money, we can't get married. Well, I got some money.
You can convince a woman against her will, but she's of the same opinion still. Oh, that's.
And she's tried to tell you what to do ever since, hasn't she,
Ever
Daddy?
Yeah.
Sometimes she gets to talking to me, she thinks she's talking to some of the kids before they got grown up. Tell me what I gotta do and what I ain't gonna do.
Oh,
She's got a big old bull whip out there with a
oh.
I'll bet.
popper on the end there.
Yeah,
She can make that thing pop pretty loud.
I'm sure I wouldn't even come talk.
yeah. Well, this is precious. I tell you what.
Sitting here talking to this friend of mine, also
He calls me a friend, yes.
Probably the best friend he ever had.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember enough of that. I just know that we were real close all that period of time. You just get that way.
Well, what you went through there, you would get close to whoever you was with.
Turns out every one of
You
them.
didn't
Has he
have
ever
room
told
to
you-
get away from each other if you wanted to.
You know, our camp conditions, we can talk about that, but our camp conditions were so
She's
bad.
got to go back tomorrow.
Even though we had diarrhea or dysentery, we couldn't go out without a guard to go with us.
No, I'm getting
Mhm.
close.
And the drinking water was polluted by this
No,
open
I got it.
latrine arrangement they had. You know, they
Yeah.
had
No, I've got
honey
enough.
buckets they hauled it
I've
off
got
in and
enough to last
put it on the crops,
2
I
or 3
guess. But
weeks probably.
it's a wonder we got back. I mean, it's a wonder we didn't
Mhm.
have some kind of typhus or typhoid fever or something in there.
David said he was gonna bring it
But,
Wednesday. Wednesday's done them.
I forgot how good looking he was.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
a
I
fine
know.
looking man.
Oh, he was.
Well, I don't want it.
Well, Mama's had trouble all his life of other women looking at him.
Spinning and jerking around.
Haven't you, Mama?
Yeah.
Well, he got some of the best looking family I ever saw.
We did.
I tell you what.
Well, thank you.
Becky, I sure do thank you for writing me because it just kind of brought everything together in my mind that I need to come down here.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming down here. I think that's
Well,
a tribute to
I